Welcome back to My Wire Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk to creatives and entrepreneurs about their passions and their dreams and the reason why they do what they do. And I hope, as you watch this episode today or you go back to watch the other ones, that you'll be able to get something out of it and be able to get inspired to follow your dreams. So today we're going to be talking about the giving back to the community and nonprofits. And I have the perfect person here today. It's Donovan Dooley. He is founder and CEO and board president of the Dooley Foundation. Donovan is a media professional. His work can be seen on ESPN, Urban One, and CBS, just to name a few. But in 2021, he started the Dooley Foundation, an organization that provides opportunities for young professionals of marginalized communities who are seeking a chance to accomplish their dreams and reach their highest potential. And I'm not going to forget, he is a proud alum of North Carolina A&T University. I was not going to forget that.
Thank you so much, Simone, for having me.
We got a whole audience in here today.
Oh, I didn't know. I know it's a 90s. It was a 90s sitcom in here. I didn't know this.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
No, but I do have to give a little background. Me and Diamond used to work in media together, and we were in the trenches of
Man,
media.
was.
We go, just I can go for days with our story, but it's just exciting to have this conversation with you today and just kind of like, see what you're up to, what you're doing with your foundation, and I'm just super excited to hear about it and your organization. So let's
Yeah,
get right into it.
let's do
Okay,
it.
so what was your inspiration about with starting the Dooley Foundation?
A lot of my inspiration came from the time that we've spent together under, the legendary Bill Rhoden, and seeing what he was able to give back to us and providing us opportunities for employment, opportunities for basically scholarship to be able to enhance, kind of our lives and kind of do what we want to do in the field. At that time, there's a lot of inspiration that came from that when it came to starting the Dooley Foundation, and then most importantly, I would say that the inspiration really came to me like during COVID when I was just really thinking about what are some things I can do to really kind of just like give back in a way, and God just gave me one of these ideas. He gave me the ability to start a foundation. Just said, "Hey, why not try this?" And so I was like, God, sure, let's do it. Let's see what we can do with this. And during that downtime in the foundation, I was really able to get a lot of like the legwork together of building it up and really seeing how we can create something.
Hmm.
And then in the later summer of 2021, we launched, and I think it's been a blessing so far, just being able to help people and do what we need to do to be successful. I mean, I think offering opportunities for people who don't necessarily have a direct avenue themselves is something that is needed. And I felt like if I knew or had the opportunity to be able to do that, then I should. So that's kind of where we're at now, and that's kind of my inspiration for it.
And you've always been very forward thinking. That's one thing I know about Donovan. You're always thinking ahead. You're always seeing like how you're just always two steps ahead of whatever the situation is. So with that, like what do you like that the time you've been doing your foundation and talking to the younger professionals and like kind of guiding them and directing them, what do you think the community is actually missing and needs
Yeah.
to do better in being able to reach others?
Yeah. I think for us specifically, when it comes to especially the black community, I speak
Yeah.
specifically to the black community. For us, I think we need to be more strategic about how we can create pipelines and systems to allow us to reach back and pull people up in a way that's less about, oh, I just did this one time thing, and more about creating sustainable kind of initiatives and systems, once again, that allow us to say, hey, how can we elevate everyone up in a way that's not going to take too much off of one person's plate, but it's all a collective and community effort to be able to do that. And so for the Dooley Foundation, that's one of our major goals is to say, how can we implement systems that are going to be beneficial not only for the young professional, but are also going to be beneficial for people who are seasoned in business, seasoned in their careers, to say, hey, there's a lot of advantages that you can take from actually reaching back out and helping this younger generation come up.
Hmm.
And so we do a lot of those different things when it comes to minority business. We're looking at doing some things there in that field, and obviously all of our work with HBCUs and HBCU students. Like we want to be able to kind of help bridge that gap to where we can create kind of this pipeline and the guidelines and the baseline for elevating up an entire community. And I feel like that's starting with the younger generation, allowing them to see what they can do and see how they can be successful moving forward as well.
Right. So how has it been a difficult process to be able to get funding, or how do you go about,
Yeah.
what has been your, kind of journey of trying to get funding? Because I know there's others that out there that are probably listening, they might have start their nonprofits. Like what was your journey in trying to get some funding to keep it going?
Yeah, the nonprofit world is a beast. It really is. If you're when you're talking about reaching out, getting funding, getting connected to people, going through the grant process in itself, it can be very, very daunting if you're looking at it from the outside looking in, especially like me. I was a newcomer to this entire nonprofit system in the world of philanthropy. So there was a huge, huge learning curve for me when I came into it. And one of the things that's really benefited me, like we've been lucky enough to strike up some corporate partnerships and stuff like that, and got some funding in to be able to do a couple of our different initiatives. But the one thing that really helped me out was just really being aggressive with the connection building.
Mhm.
First off, I think that a lot of people kind of get that misconstrued. They're like looking at, okay, if I gotta go to this grant partner, let's say somebody that's giving out some money, right?
Mhm.
And now we're doing a cold interview. We're doing like a cold interview. I'm sending like my cold resume about what the
Mhm.
foundation is, what we're doing, and all that, right? When in actuality, like a lot of people have told me this in the philanthropy fields, is like you're building up kind of your status, your repertoire, and later down the line is when that funding is going to come, right?
Right.
It's way more about saying, hey, let me establish a connection or relationship with this entity, with this person, with this company, whatever it may be that you're trying to be in business with,
Mhm.
and really kind of set the seeds there, plant seeds there, and see how those things can flourish and really grow naturally into something. So that's one things that I did. Now I will say that you gotta be aggressive in that because it's a lot. You can't just say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm just hitting up one person a day. I'm
Not
gonna
as
call it a day."
you
Um,
emailed out the emails, I'm sure.
Emails after emails after emails. I did a lot of work on LinkedIn early on with the foundation of saying, hey, just reaching out to people, just saying, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what our organization is about. These are some of the programs, initiatives that we have planned. Can you guys help us out? Or are you
Right.
interested in this? And that's one of the things that I feel like really benefited me early on was being aggressive in that outreach and that connection building to be able to kind of leverage those things to go into the next phase of the relationship, which is then the working relationship of funding and all that.
Oh, yeah. So, like, why particularly are you, I guess not, I want to say passionate about the marginalized communities? Like, why is that like the audience that you're trying to reach particularly?
I would say for me, I think it goes back to like what I mentioned earlier about kind of what I want to do with my purpose moving forward, like in my life. I think that was one of the main reasons why I even started the Dooley Foundation to begin with. And I felt like for me, and having conversations with God and prayer and all that, I felt like my job was to be able to create avenues for people who needed a way created for them. You know what I mean? Or needed pathways to be made easier, I
Hmm.
should say. And I felt like seeing kind of how we came up, Simone, with HBCU culture,
Yeah,
especially being in media and
yeah.
HBCU culture, like how difficult it was for talented students and talented professionals to
To
really,
navigate that without
yes,
that hand, because I couldn't
exactly.
imagine what all that stuff that we did,
Hmm.
and everything we experienced if we didn't have Mr. Roden there to kind of
Right.
talk us through, even in the moments when we probably felt we weren't done the best by others, just on the
Hmm.
outside looking in, he could still have those conversations that's like, okay, this is why this happened, or this is,
Absolutely.
so I think that was a major thing. So
Because there's a level of understanding and a level of wisdom that you just
yeah,
don't have at that age.
yeah.
Because you have a lot of drive and ambitions for you to want to go to where you want to go, but you don't necessarily know A, how to get there,
Hmm.
and B, what's the best route, the best method? How do I temper myself? How do I do what I need to do in
Yeah.
order to be successful moving forward, right? Like, when do I need to be aggressive? When do I need to say, hey, all right, let me let this work out on my behalf. With like you see what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
so having somebody to really give you that guidance and can kind of walk you through this is was very needed for me as a young kid.
yeah.
And so we want to be able to try to help offer that to somebody else. And even if I can't do that myself, that's where the importance of working with partners that can come into factor. And so we try to be able to help out in that way.
So like I'm assuming you probably had to make a lot of pivots and adjustments as you went on.
Absolutely.
So what was the journey for you to go from like, working in media at the time to stepping into being a CEO? Like what did you have to do? Like what inner work and care things that you had to do and adjust to kind of just take on the mantle of it, honestly.
Yeah. I think for me, my main thing was knowing or realizing where I needed help at
Hmm. Yeah.
and like giving into that, you
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
because you're only as good as your team around you in a
Hmm.
lot of ways. And so I'm still learning those lessons still to this day. Like you cannot just take everything bull by the horns and go out there and try to do it. You need to be able to lean on people, get help from people, listen to their advice, listen to the things that they're telling you, because that's going to help you get to where you want to go faster, right? And so in alignment with that, reaching out to people who have been in the industry for a long time, listening to them, hearing what they're telling you, listen to that level of consulting and saying, hey, how can I take what I have that's specific to me? Because I feel like everybody has a specific gifting, a specific idea, a specific talent
Yeah.
that's going to allow them to be successful. How can I take that, use some of the knowledge that I'm given, and be able to make myself get to where I want to get to through that avenue, right?
Right.
And that to me, I think was the biggest adjustment because I felt like I was really good at what I was doing in
Right.
media. So like you kind of get in the flow with that. You get in a
Yeah.
rhythm with that, and you're just like, okay, I'm doing pretty well here, And then to have to be like almost like a fish out of water, jump into a whole new
Arena.
type of industry environment and how everything works, and especially being a black man doing that, like it gets a little tricky. So you have to be able to say, hey, let me learn, let me grow, let me see who can I reach out to and who can I just sit here and just learn from and grow and help me get to the next level, and I feel like that was the main thing for me, I guess the biggest adjustment in that regard.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that of like being in the media world. I don't know where it comes from, but you almost feel like you have to kind of like, even if you don't know it all, pretend like you know it all.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like
Mhm.
what's it, the fake it until you make it type of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of that, and it doesn't really translate in other places.
All right.
And I learned that too. Like that was a hard adjustment for me when I was doing other things, and I always wondered. Like I hear that a lot of people who have worked in media, 'cause that fake it till you make it only works in that sphere because you could kind of there's a little bit of finesse you can do a lot of
I
it.
mean, yeah, I mean, because the thing about media that's so crazy is like when you're walking up, say you're walking up to interview somebody, right? Like there is no time for you to be
Yeah,
like, oh, I don't know what's happening, I don't know what's going
gotta
on.
be bold.
You
Yeah.
gotta be bold, you gotta be not assertive, but you gotta be confident in what you're
Mhm.
doing, to be able to have a productive interview or productive meeting or whatever it is that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
A productive pitch session, whatever it may be, right?
Right.
And so there's a time to ask questions to gain more knowledge in
Hmm.
the media field, but oftentimes
Right.
that's
And then
not
you don't
always
have
put on
nobody
display.
stealing your pitches anymore. So
You say what now?
not nobody stealing your pitches. When you boldly.
Exactly. You know, like
I ain't
Jesus.
gonna say no names.
We
No,
know, we know who
yeah,
you talk.
yes, we
We know.
know. So no, but so what is some of the best advice and maybe some of the advice that you've gotten that wasn't the best for you? So like, so we start
Interesting.
with the best one first, and then maybe I don't want to say worse. I just want to say maybe it wasn't the best advice that you found out that actually no, I'm not gonna do
Actually, no.
that.
Okay, got you. I'll start with the best advice. I think the best advice for me was understanding like seasons of your life.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and being able to really take a look back and say, hey, if everything is not coming in the way that you see it right now, that's okay. You
Right.
know, be patient, take your time, build things correctly, build things right. Because I've always had a tendency to be very ambitious, very, very go get it.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. But at times, that can also lead you to like doing things rushed. It can lead you to skipping steps in a way that, you know, will cool kind of land you in the doghouse a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's probably been the best advice I've ever seen. Is just being patient, um, be productive, but don't be in a hurry.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's like tell you in basketball. It's like, but be quick, but don't rush.
Mm-hmm.
Like that type of advice is very, very, very useful, kind of in what I'm doing now because you don't want to be rushed. You don't want to move sloppy, but just be productive, be quick, move with purpose, move with intention. I I would say the worst advice I've ever gotten is Uh, I don't know. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. I'm blanking on bad advice I've ever gotten because for me, I'm going to navigate the situation the way that I want to anyway.
Right. Right. Right.
So like, if you tell me something, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's cool, but how can I make it my own? You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? I guess also when people say, let stuff roll off your back,
Oh.
um,
Yeah.
I think that that's good in a lot of ways for you to say, okay, I can't let everything get me
But there's some
to
things you
a
gotta
certain
address.
level. Exactly. But
Right.
there are some things, and especially too in this regard,
Mm-hmm.
if you have passion points around certain things, that should be an indicator to tell you, like, hey, maybe I need to check into that a little more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're walking around your office or you're walking around your organization or you're walking around you have a business or whatever and you see that there's not a lot of representation there of different people and that bothers you,
Yeah.
lean into that.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be so quick to just like sacrifice
Everything.
exactly everything and what it is that's passionate to you in order just for you to feel comfortable.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I would say. Like if people say it's like, oh, it's all good, just let it roll off your back, let it be what it is. Like, no, sometimes you gotta use some discernment.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to say something. Or you need to look at what you can do to fix the situation,
Right.
you know? And so I guess that would be what I would say for that question.
So, what advice do you usually give, like the young professionals, or who you're mentoring? Like, what advice do you usually give them to kind of help them tap into their potential?
Yeah. One of the things I give them, really, number one, I tell them to be a sponge all the time because there's always opportunities to learn, always opportunities to grow, especially when you're that young. Even, I mean, at all times, but
Right.
especially when you're that young. Like, there's so many opportunities for you to go into a meeting and just observe. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? If you have questions, ask them. You know what I mean? Pick the proper time, but then ask, but ask questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like ask questions, like find out information. It's like no one's gonna get mad at you because you're a 20-year-old at in school
Right.
asking questions. They don't expect you to know,
Right.
So get that knowledge, get that understanding, and really just soak it all in. Like everything. I also tell people to connect with as many people as you need to as well. Like
Yeah.
always keep an email, keep a phone number, hit people up, reach
Right.
out, do whatever you need to do to kind of maintain that connection base, and I think that will be able to help you out a lot too. That's really the main things I tell them, and also thirdly, I tell them be confident, go in there and say, hey, I know that I may not know everything in this field, but I do have certain skill sets that I've already acquired
Yeah.
that help make me a good position, help make me a good candidate for this position, right?
Right.
And don't be scared to express those things and say, where can I help you all out and where can you guys help me? I feel like that's what everybody wants a partnership that's going to be mutually beneficial for them.
Right.
So if you know that you have skill sets to offer, go in there, be confident, and
And offer them. Yes.
offer
Right.
you know so those are a couple things that I feel like I tell them, and I feel like it's been really helpful for them kind of in these positions, because the company, our partner, chose you for a reason. So,
Right,
like,
right,
you know
right,
what I mean? You earned that. You
right.
earned that. So go in there and act like you earned it.
So obviously, this podcast is called My Why. There's a why behind everything anybody does. So, what is your why, and why do you continue to go on this journey, even when there's when there might be fluctuations of things that happen? But like, why do you continue on this journey?
Yeah. I think it's like I said earlier, Simone. I think my why for this is the fact that I feel like this is just so directly correlated to my God given purpose and why God has placed me on this earth. And it's really just to try to make things easier for other people. It's to try to help give people something that's going to make their life easier to navigate. It's going to create avenues for people to be successful. Like my biggest passion, especially like now as I get older, is
Mhm.
being able to see people have success or to see people happy based off something that I was able to give them or something I was able to show them or whatever it may be. And so having the ability to say, hey, you were able to get to a position not solely because of me, but in
Right,
part because I was able to help guide you along that path feels very, very good for me. I love being able to provide an opportunity for somebody, especially somebody who I know is hungry, who I know has ambition, and who wants to be the best. You know what I mean? Because I saw that was me at that point, at that moment in
yeah,
time. You know, and so being able to come back and say, hey, if I can help somebody out using my skill sets and my talents, why not do that? You know, and I'm not where I want to be completely right now, but if I still have the ability to be able to do that, why not? Why
right.
not do that?
You're doing it because it's something you enjoy, which is why it'll prosper. And that's which is why everybody has beginning stages. I don't know, what I don't know. I don't
Right.
know because you just when you get opportunities like that, at the time you're young, you're in the 20s. I mean, we were running the streets in New York. It was just like
We
we're
were.
running the streets, okay? But you're in your 20s and you're hungry and you're doing all that, and then once you get older, you start thinking back of those times, and you're like, man, at 32, would I do that particular way I did it before? No, because
Mm-hmm,
I'm too not I'm too old to do stuff. Obviously, I'm still hungry for stuff, but it's the hunger is a little different
mm-hmm,
when you
right.
were first out and doing that. So that's a very I'm just excited for you,
I
really,
appreciate that. I appreciate that,
I
Simone.
really am.
Cause you
So
know what's crazy about it is this, is like those experiences are so transformative because a lot of people don't know they can do it until they see it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Well,
you're
like once you've done something like that, now the sky's the limit. Especially because you feel you have the confidence from the fact of saying, "Oh, I was at ESPN when we were young.
yeah,
What can I do now?"
right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I think those experiences are just very, very transformative for people, and so I'd love to be able to give them to a lot more different people.
Yeah. So okay. So the next segment I have is I heard it on the gram. So I'm gonna play a clip for you, and you just tell me your thoughts. So let me.
Had I lived in my current reality, I would still be in my reality that was constructed for me. Mm-hmm. So I had to live in this realm that was dreamt of, and my whole premise was to manifest that dream with strategy. So I had to live as if it was real. I had to live like I already moved my mom out the projects. I had to live like this gang doesn't want me. I'm no use for this gang. Why even get initiated and live that gang life? Let me just keep wearing these suits because these suits that my mom made me are my attire for the world that I'm going to be living in. You have to live. If you living in some place that you don't belong, you don't belong there. Why are you stuck in that?
So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things in there, honestly, because I think it's a fundamental thing, right? I think that in order to get to the places that you want to be, you have to be very, number one, intentional about the things that you're doing. And so that mindset and that framing of mind of saying, hey, what if I had the life that I wanted, how would that person be moving? You
Mm,
know? that's an intentionality thing. That's you saying, hey, I'm moving with a level of purpose in my life right now to say, hey, it may not look like this materially right now, but my mindset is going to be of that, to where what that person would do and what that person would be on a day-to-day basis, right? So
Right.
I think there's a lot of credence and truth to that, because you know I I fully believe this. I feel like you have to change who you are on the inside before a lot of things start reflecting on the outside, right? Like
Hmm.
if you want to be a better you want to be a better podcaster, do you want to if you want to be a better CEO, if you want to be a better father, a better husband, whatever it may be, a
Hmm.
lot of that change needs to happen on the inside first before you're going to see those things externally. So I think once again having that level of intention and purpose to say, hey, what are some things that I can do realistically that are going to help, shift and kind of change my life on a day-to-day basis? Let me start doing those things. And once you start putting in that effort and you start putting in that work and that time, you'd be surprised at what you start reaping. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Once you start putting in that effort, putting in that time, and all of that, you'll be surprised at the different things that come into your life at that point. So I think there's a lot of good things said in that message. Those kind of the kind of things that I kind of take away, because I mean it's a biblical principle: you reap what you
Yeah.
sow.
Yeah.
So I mean that's just what it is. If you're if you're out here sowing good
Violence.
things,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
good things, good things, good things, you're gonna reap good things.
Yeah.
So it is a mindset shift to begin it all.
Yep. I totally agree with that. So we're gonna go to the last segment. It's called "Be Encouraged." So like I mentioned before, well, I didn't mention before on the show, but every time I talk to a guest, I before I do the show, I ask God to put something in my heart that they're supposed to know about in this season in their life. It's kind of like my gift to my guests. So I was thinking about you, and I was like, okay, what am I supposed to tell Donovan? So the first I actually had a question that
Mhm.
came to mind. It was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much fun are you having
How much fun am I having? Wow, that's a
in
good
life?
question. In life in general,
Yeah, right now, how much fun? How much fun are you having in life right now?
I'd probably say about 7.5, 8. It can get better, but I'm happy.
That's what I got. It's time for you to have fun.
Oh,
It's
well,
time. It's time
that's
for this.
nice.
It's time for like you've done you because like what we talked before. You are so much a two-step ahead thinking person that sometimes it's like, oh, this is not important. I'll get to that. When the reality is, it's important for you. This is as important for you to be focused and have drive. It's important for you to relax and have fun. That
Interesting.
balance is supposed to be balanced because if you're trusting God for whatever is to come for whatever you're doing, he doesn't need you to be sitting around stressed out about it because you're not supposed to worry. That's a biblical principle too. Why you're not supposed to be worrying, right? So why can't you have fun
Oh,
in an equal manner? So you know, get out a little more. You know,
okay.
you know,
Hey,
hang out. Whatever ways you like hanging out now, and maybe go on a date or two. I don't know. With your love life, but it's like kind of just things that are outside of business, and
right.
it's important for you, and I really do. Not it's not for me, but um, this this season of your life that's important too.
Yeah.
Don't take it. Don't act like it's not. Don't like throw it to the side like it's not. No, it's very
Um,
important because it will balance out stress.
yeah. And staying present.
Yes, and but that's all
It's
connected.
all part of it.
It
Yeah.
helps you stay. It helps you stay present. So I hope that is something that you can take and use for this season in your life. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Ooh, look, I feel poured into now. It's crazy.
Well, I'm glad because it's important. And you'll find yourself smiling a lot more for no reason.
Ah, that's nice.
Yes.
That's really nice, Simone. I appreciate that. That's nice.
And I appreciate you being on the show today. It's been an amazing
Yes.
conversation, a good time, and I hope that somebody who's watched this episode, they got what they needed out of it, and they will be able to be encouraged for whatever they're doing in their season in their life. And I'm just, like I said, I was just happy that you were able to come on and have a conversation today.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Simone. If you need me back, you know where to
Yeah.
find me.
season 2's coming. So
Exactly.
exactly. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. So, bye.